in specific scenarios. Whereas people often will end up thinking that there are more not twos than there are two, and they will not quite comprehend the fact that they're pretty much circle surrounded or whatever by lives that they really shouldn't breed with or mingle with for the positive nature or whatever of their general genus, which is essentially genus is the goal of not being a family. Well, it's the goal of being more of a complexion of families that sustains and survives without problems, rather than being just like this one big family that's essentially circling the drain and doesn't survive and then is like kicked back and other species and stuff and whatever. Um, and they just don't want to migrate, and that's like the big problem. They don't want to move somewhere. They don't want to migrate. They don't want anything like going on, and it's like a big thing. Like it's a big thing in our genus that males and females migrate. I don't know. Don't sit there and live in like the same city over and 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 over again until you're choking on your own breath, kind of thing. But anyway, I was saying that those Egyptian individuals, specific figures, and it's best not to refer to them as consciousnesses, because they're just not consciousnesses. The word is the bad word. It's not an accurate word to use. Um, Identities. And right before I go ahead and end this video, another big word is the word entity. Whereas commonly, anything ENT prefixated is fashioned to be an entertainment feed or surplus or whatever. Not true. ENT is still ear, nose, and throat, no matter what people think or say. But yeah, no, entity, like a genus can have many entities, whereas an entity is more similar to an identity and even more tightly identifiable than family spectrum of life. Wherein, in that essence of reality, the difficulty of maintaining an entity around so many families and genus and so on and so forth is that word of mouth. No, it's enough for him. And eventually it just crumbles theoretically. It's not impossible. It's not ridiculously hard. But entity would be more like starting off saying, of the genus, in the horse species, the dog species, the bird species, and all of those different species, there are this individual bird, this individual horse, this individual dog, this individual chipmunk, etc., etc., which is identifiably equivalent to this very specific individual of the genus and of the family, equivocally entity, the identity, because there's a dominant life of the entity, and an entity without a dominant leading life would be more of an amoeba, and essentially it would turn into a family, and then it would just start circling the drain anyway. So, the whole like, it's the mighty amoeba. No, it's not an amoeba. You were going for a genus with entities as well, but you're trying to hide it and call it an amoeba kind of shit. And it was like, that whole fucking craze was because of somebody that thought that they would be like shunned out and stuff or whatever, but they weren't. It's like, cool. You own your own genus, that's cool. It's like, there's a word. The word is coven, whereas coven is the higher up, that is above genus, which is like, coven is what is retaining multiple genus. And that's one of the things that really makes life sick of other lives being around. Often the word coven is used in like a witchcraft kind of thing, which not only, firstly, limits and specifies them to a female only dominations, etc., kind of thing. But it's even further limited to being more of like lookalikes. Wherein what I will quite simply say is that when you start doing lookalike stuff, you start perpetually or whatever circling the drain like the wild animals do, and you don't really survive. Not at all. Another big fact that I want to state also is that the word female or female is kind of a derogatory word anyway. It's kind of like males not really equating up by way of practice kind of word. So like, it's like the other gender is only recreating the male gender as puppets for breeding purposes, and it's just a big waste in terms of this other stuff. But other words, like the word girl, stuff like that. Totally fine. The word boy, not that great. Basically, the two best words that are used commonly this is marshmallows. In English are girl and guy. Where really, as far as coming from origin of Genesis, where like microorganisms are essentially hermaphrodites, regardlessly. They don't asexually reproduce, but they're equivocally hermaphrodite. Even developing further than that adds to the mathematics that you have to calculate about maintaining a stable psychology. So, and that's because this or that during the microbial range. Sorry. Of the cycle of life, etc. Anyway, there are like millions and millions and millions of different ways to do this, do all of these things. Most often, most naturally, of course, the keep it simple, stupid, dumb, brawn, and non-coexistence and combative dominance. Just don't go there. Are like most commonly like the assholes to everybody else. You can't really live in a civilization. And it just goes to that and goes back to that quite often because of like jealousy and shit like that. Totally bit my cheek. But anyway, it would have been better to have been like more master apprentice about it. And stuff like that. So, what was that? And it's because, like, if you think about it, eventually everybody's going to be freaky enough to want to be hermaphrodites. Everybody. Every identity. I mean, it's not like, oh, it's just going to happen, but it's common. And then it's actually common enough that there are stimuluses set out to maintain that there are majorative, like, general capacities, which sustain, as well as a majorative of hermaphrodite. Which, that's the secret of the word hermaphrodite. Anyway. Beyond that, there's more information, but this has been an hour of talk about a whole bunch of different stuff that I didn't really plan to talk about, and it's all kinds of mixed up, and